Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, normally joined by Jeff Torrey, but he will be out one more episode. Jeff will join us again for our Thursday episode when we talk about trades and who to start at flex positions, go over our point spread picks for week 4. But today I got week 4 rankings. I'm going to run through some of my ranks, maybe where they differ from the consensus, and a couple comments that people have posted over on Instagram about the ranks, and maybe just a few questions there. But before we do that, make sure you guys go check us out and follow us on Twitter at the FF Prophet or Instagram, Fantasy Football Prophet. That's where we post the ranks. Every Tuesday we post them up on there so you can get some comments in there. Check out our website, fantasyfootballprophet.com. The rankings will be up there as well. They'll change throughout the week, so you can always get up-to-date ranks. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on Patreon. You can support us there as well. All the links for those are in the show notes. You can check those out. Week 4 ranks. I'm going to start out with my quarterback ranks, and I did put Patrick Mahomes, number 1 this week. He's been too good so far, 13 touchdowns in 3 games. So Mahomes does become my number 1. Especially with Aaron Rodgers still looking a bit hobbled, because normally Aaron Rodgers against Buffalo, even though I know what Buffalo did to Kirk Cousins last week, I would normally expect Rodgers to be great in that matchup. The knee still just worries me a bit, so I dropped him to 3rd, put Drew Brees 2nd, and Phillip Rivers actually put up at number 4 against San Francisco. And surprisingly, that's actually the consensus ranks right now, is those top 4 exactly the consensus. Some of the ones maybe I differed just slightly. I don't have a lot of variations in the quarterback ranks, but Matt Ryan I put at 5th. It's a couple spots ahead of consensus. I did put Ben Roethlisberger 6th. Again, it's 2 spots ahead where people are putting him. The Baltimore matchup is tougher, but I like Big Ben at home always. That's kind of what I'm always a fan of, Roethlisberger at home, and the way he's been finding not just, Antonio Brown hasn't had as great of a season as to start, but Juju Smith-Schuster has picked up the slack. So I like Ben this week. I did end up rounding out my top 10 with Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Matthew Stafford, and I put Carson Wentz at 10. I think he's going to improve from last week. First game back, getting the rust off. He'll jump up a little bit, I think, to top 10 for this week. Kirk Cousins did drop to 12 for me, especially after the rough week with Buffalo, but not just that. He's going to Los Angeles to play the Rams. I know their secondary is a bit banged up, but last week worried me. Buffalo should have been no problem for them, and it was. So I'm going to drop Kirk just a little bit. Ryan Fitzpatrick came in 13. It's a tough game going to Chicago right now. Chicago's defense has been playing well, so it's a tough matchup. I be a little concerned. So one of probably the top streaming option for the week, I'm going to say, is probably Andy Dalton. He's been a decent streaming option so far going against Atlanta. I put him 15th. The consensus puts him 12th. So I'm a little off on that, but I think he's going to, be solid this week. Mitch Trubisky, another guy I'm a little bit different on the consensus. I put him a little bit higher, 4 spots higher than consensus. I put him at 21. The main reason for that is Tampa's hasn't really been able to stop anybody. They've been getting in shootouts. I kind of can see that continuing. So Trubisky, though, again, this is only a 2 QB league starter, not playing him in a standard 10-12 team league. So that's it for quarterbacks. There's really not much going on there. Let's go to running backs. And I stuck with Todd Gurley at number 1. I know it's a tough matchup against Minnesota. The consensus puts him at 3, but I'm sticking with Gurley, number 1. He's my number 1 running back. He'll be number 1 ranked most weeks for me. The consensus number 1 this week on Fantasy Pros was Alvin Kamara, who I put in number 2. He's going to New York to face the Giants, but Kamara's if he doesn't get the rushing yards, he's gonna get a bunch of receptions. He's one of the top guys every week. No different this week. Zeke, I put number 3. Going against Detroit. Detroit's been poor against the run so far. Zeke has played pretty well despite Dallas's offense being very poor. I can see him having a pretty good game here against Detroit, so no hesitation with Zeke. My top 5 ends up rounding out with Saquon and Melvin Gordon. Now, it gets interesting here. I put Leonard Fournette early right now at 6. I'm assuming he's going to play. Obviously, this will drop he'll drop out if he's not going to play. 2 weeks out, I think he's going to be back. The Jets matchup, not sure what to think about it, but I like Fournette a lot. They're going to give him the ball a lot. I'm going 6. I little hesitation because you don't really know how healthy he is, but I think he's going to be fine. Number 7, 8, 9, 10. I round it out with Kareem Hunt, James Conner. Despite, Baltimore's been tough against the run, but I'll stick with Conner. David Johnson still stays in my top 10, and Jordan Howard, number 10 for me. David Johnson, now he's a guy that people are souring on a little bit. He hasn't looked very good. The offense doesn't look good in Arizona. I think things can get turned around with Josh Rosen. At least that's the hope for me. I'm going to give it another shot. Seattle hasn't been very good anyway, so why not give David Johnson another shot here? Carlos Hyde jumped all the way up to 11th for me. Cleveland looked, pretty solid there against the Jets. Carlos Hyde has taken over the back completely. Nick Chubb isn't involved right now, so as long as Hyde is getting the majority of the work, he deserves the top 15 back. Gio stays at number 12 this week with Mixon still out. Should be pretty solid. And then some other guys that I differ a little bit. Tevin Coleman, I put 4 spots below consensus. Put him at 14. He's been fine, but I just have I haven't seen what I was exactly hoping for Coleman. I maybe expect a little bit bigger numbers from him. Hasn't quite happened. And I guess we just don't know the Devontae Freeman situation. This is all going to change. This is kind of just ranking it without Freeman for now. I'll change that around once we know what Freeman's status is going to be for the week. Alfred Morris, I put him he's at 27, but I have him actually 8 spots ahead of consensus. I think they're going to try to run the ball with him a little bit. Try to do something without Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know if it'll work. They got to try something. So Morris, not necessarily a safe option, but he's, an okay option, I guess, if you need to play him. Sony Michel, I put number 29 this week, while consensus is putting him at 23 already. Yeah, he has kind of taken the job there, it looks like, in New England. He's getting the majority of the carries. And I think that could be how it goes forward, but I haven't seen much production with those carries yet. So he's still going to fall 29 for me. A little bit higher up, Aaron Jones, I put 24. He was slowly being worked back into the fold there at Green Bay, and I think he's thought all along he's the best running back. And this week against Buffalo, I think we might see some of it. I would throw Aaron Jones in at a flex spot, and I think I would feel okay with that. I feel like he's going to have a solid week, and the talent's there. They just hopefully are going to go ahead and use him because I think he's going to be a good play for the rest of the season. Another guy who I've dropped quite a bit, Peyton Barber down to 36. He hasn't done much at all yet in that role as the lead back for Tampa, and it just feels like at some point they're going to try out Ronald Jones. Maybe it's not this week, but at some point here soon, unless Barber can turn it around, which is just, it's really not quite happening right now. And I thought he looked better in this in preseason. It's just, it's not really going on right now. So a couple quick questions from some listeners here, some players here. Yes, Smitty has Chris Thompson on a bye, so he's looking to start either Royce Freeman or Kerryon Johnson. So I'm ranking it as Kerryon. I put up a 17, Royce Freeman 23. So I'm going to go Kerryon this week. He looked pretty good there. First 100-yard ride for the Lions since 2013, Reggie Bush. I liked what I saw. He looked like he belongs out there. He's better than Blunt, that's for sure. And I think Matt Patricia in Detroit hopefully has seen that and will continue to run the ball with Kerryon and, become a fantasy option here. I think right now, from what we saw, though, he could be a running back 2 or a flex option right now. Another question from Henny asking, LaShawn McCoy, start or sit? I guess right now I don't know. The health isn't quite there. Even if he does play, I think I sit him. I think I'm going to sit LaShawn McCoy if he plays, because even if he does play, he is still hurting, and I'm going to hesitate on that. The Bills, yes, they looked good against Minnesota, but I can't see that continuing. It was just that fluke game that, it's no one else what to say about it. It's kind of a crazy finish there. Just didn't make sense for the most part. We'll move over to wide receivers, talk about some of these guys here. And this is now the first week where I haven't put around number 1. And, Juju Smith has taken quite a bit of work away. Antonio almost looks like in a way. They're not force feeding Brown anymore. He's still a great option. I put him 3. But Mike Thomas is now my new number 1 because the catches are just racking up for Thomas. On this pace, if he kept at this pace, he's the all-time leading reception season. That's not going to keep up, but Breeze is looking for him, and he's going to continue to rack it. And so, in PPR, he's definitely I've stand him number 1. I put Odell number 2. I think that's going to be a good matchup there, Giants and Saints. Saints defense hasn't been very good, so hopefully Odell can do something there and finally get some touchdowns on the board. So I'm putting Odell 2. Yeah, Brown with my 3rd. DeAndre Hopkins 4 in what should be a pretty good matchup against the Colts for him. And I have Mike Evans at 5 in Chicago. And I did put Fitzpatrick a little lower because of the tough matchup, but that doesn't necessarily mean Evans isn't going to at least get a touchdown or 2. Fitzpatrick's going to throw the ball around. He might throw a pick. Might be some stuff like that. But Evans, I think, is going to still benefit. I am a little bit higher in consensus on Evans, which I have been all season. But it's worked out so far. Mike Evans is going to continue to, I think, be one of the top options in the league. My top 10 then rounds out Julio, Devontae Adams, A.J. Green, Tyreek Hill, and Keenan Allen. Juju Smith-Schuster did fall at number 11 for me. I'm a little bit lower than others on him. Consensus has him 8th, but I still like the option. He's still a wide receiver 1 for me right there. Brandon Cooks, I'm, again, higher than some people on him. I have him at 15, but I'm staying on the Brandon Cooks bandwagon. I think 7 for 90 last week. He's still looking solid. I think it's going to continue. Brandon Cooks. Robert Woods did have a better game than him, but it's not going to be every week. Woods is going to have some good ones. Cooks is going to be the better one some weeks. They're both going to be able to contribute and have good fantasy weeks for you. Now, Kenny Golladay has jumped into my top 20. He's number 19. And so from what we've seen for Golladay, why wouldn't he be? The Lions are using him quite a bit. Golden Tate's going to be a good option as well, it looks like right now. Marvin Jones is still going to be an option. But Kenny Golladay, to me, I think he's going to emerge eventually here as the top guy in Detroit as time goes on. Now, Will Fuller came in number 20 for me. Good matchup against the Colts. And I think I finally have to buy into Will Fuller. I've always been hesitant on it. I just didn't think the pace from last year can continue. And it's not like the touchdown pace can continue, but he's getting catches, getting yards. And Will Fuller's become, fairly reliable option even alongside Hopkins. And the funny thing is this team's not doing anything, but you still have the passing options. At least, I guess if they're going to be down, they'll be able to throw the ball around. And Fuller's become a good option, which I admit I was a little bit wrong on him. I did put him down in my preseason ranks a little bit, and yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that one. So, question here from Green Bandon. He's asked, should I play John Brown over Allen Robinson this week? And right now, I'm going to rank Robinson ahead of John Brown. I did put John Brown up in my ranks quite a bit to 24th. Robinson, though, is 21st. I'm still going to play Robinson. I think, again, the Tampa matchup, Tampa's defense hasn't been too great. I think Allen Robinson's going to be fine. I'd still play him right now over John Brown. Even though I do like Brown, he's moving up for me because he's had a pretty good solid season. And I think it's going to continue. But yeah, I'm still going to play Allen Robinson this week. Some other guys who had some good weeks last week, and I believe I think it's for real, not just a fluke here, is Calvin Ridley. Put him 31st. Tyler Boyd, I really like Tyler Boyd. I put him at 33. Mike Williams, 34. I don't think those things are flukes with any three of those guys. And I probably like Tyler Boyd more than most. I'm only a couple spots ahead of him, though, in the ranks, 3 spots ahead of consensus. But I think Boyd is going to continue to impress, especially if with A.J. Green health thing is going to be interesting here. I think he's going to be fine, but I think they're going to definitely be looking for Tyler Boyd if he can continue what he's done the last 2 weeks. So for the tight end rankings, this week I did go with Travis Kelce, number 1, playing in that just terrific offense in Kansas City. Gronk's dropped to number 2. I mean, the offense, New England hasn't been getting going yet. So Gronk's my number 2. He still has to be at least up there, but it's Kelce 1, Gronk 2. I'm going to stick with Ertz 3. Jimmy Graham 4. Kyle Rudolph's going to be my 5 this week. And after that, it gets a little ugly. Trey Burton, one more week, Trey Burton's going to stay up here. And this one is basically strictly matchup based in the fact that I think the Bears can actually score on the Bucs. So Burton's going to be 6, Jared Cook 7. O.J. Howard, he's number 8 now. He's starting to impress a little bit. And if it was a better matchup, he'd probably be even higher. I like O.J. Howard. And George Kittle's going to stay in the 9 despite the Garoppolo injury because there's just not many tight ends down here. Then Ebron is going to be 10 for me. But that's pretty much going to do it for my ranks this week. We'll be back tomorrow. Jeff will be back in studio. We'll go over some more trade questions you guys have, some flex type start six. So if you got any of those trade questions you want us to answer, got any flex questions, send them over to us. We'll definitely answer them on tomorrow's show. I'll go over our point spread, see how we did last week and who's leading now through 3 weeks as we do that, sponsored by MyBookie. But that'll be it for today. We'll